on the Seacoast here. It is a beautiful place in the world. Where's everybody else coming from? If you're watching right now, let us know in the chat.
But that's when I want to come and see you guys, around when the leaves change. Wow, wow, wow.
It is something else. And on cue, Tim, your friend the cat is here. Mew the cat. He always comes.
Let me see that cat. That cat is one of a kind.
Come here, buddy. He might come over. He's going to talk to us today. Well, I'm so excited, Tim, to have you here. And for those who are watching, welcome, you guys. Tim, as you have heard me talking about, and Tim's been on the podcast. He spoke on our virtual Ignite Your Soul Summit. He will be back in New Hampshire in 2021 at the Ignite Your Soul Summit when we will be live and in color together, which I can't wait for. Here's our friend. Here he is for
that cat. See, no one else has a cat that looks like that.
This is new. He is cool. He is a cool guy. And Tim is an acclaimed author, you guys. He's been on Super Soul Sunday with his dear friend Oprah Winfrey. And he is a preacher, a teacher, a soul brother, someone I'm so grateful to get to be alive with at the same time. I always say that, and sometimes people think it's weird, but I know you get it. What a privilege that we're here in 2020 in this tumultuous yet expansive and just world shifting time. It is a very special time to be alive and to be here.
It really is. So we're kind of like down in the bunkers together.
Yeah.
Just so you know, I'm loving where you're coming from, your content, the fact that you care about people, you're serving, you're loving people, and your vision is to see other people's vision come to pass. And it's coming across in everything you guys are doing. I mean it.
Thank you. Thank you for that. It means the world, and it just means we're doing our job, but we're loving well. And, you know, that's, I think, for me, and I really want to ask you this, Tim, you know, and I asked my community to share some questions, and we have some really good ones from your perspective. But from my perspective, you know, anytime there's a crisis, there's a challenge afoot. I've learned about radical empathy because I've gone through a lot in my own life, and it's been the thing that always saves me. And this moment in time has opened up. I already thought I had a lot of empathy. I already thought that I was able to walk in other people's shoes in a deep way. It's in a whole nother realm. And I am so grateful for that perspective, to be able to just understand my fellow human in an even deeper, more heart-centered way. It's helping me get to the taproot of what life is really about, getting to connect to God and source in a much deeper way too. I feel so much more expansive, and I frankly feel a lot more free. And in that, I feel more nimble in my ability to serve and to hold space and to love people without condition, and to also understand where they're coming from and why they're acting the ways in which they are, and to just be with them in that. What's opening for you right now?
Well, I think one reason that you're like that is because you have a foundation, and that foundation is keeping you secure in being that person. So, you know, I find that this whole idea of what's going on, number one, you have COVID-19, as we all know. So that was one thing that none of us have ever faced, guys.
Right.
You know, in traveling the world, 75 different countries of the world that I've been to, you know, you'd be in the Philippines and Mount Pinatubo would blow up, which is like a volcano. And I had to stay like 7 days longer because the volcano blew up. Or I've been in the big hurricane, and one of them in Miami, but that hits like a certain area. As we know, the pandemic hit the whole planet, right? Mm. So we're on this pandemic, and then the George Floyd thing comes out of nowhere. So I think that is really the difficulty, is that maybe if one just pandemic hit, we were learning to like figure our way through a little bit, right?
Yeah.
But that life is really wild that way, where right when you think you got one thing figured out, another thing hits. So maybe me and you can talk about that for a minute.
Yeah, I mean, you are all about the comeback, but I think, you know, what happens before the comeback, Tim?
Well, what happens is that I actually wrote some notes, just because you have a very intelligent group.
Yeah.
Is that I think that before the comeback, usually the most common emotions are fear, like something happened, now I'm afraid. Like if somebody says you have a lump.
Yeah.
Or, you know, you get a call from school, your son's not doing so well. Well, what is it? So the first response is fear. And then to something that took place with what everybody's talking about with George Floyd is anger. So many times in the midst of a setback, fear hits, anger. But here's a big one. Hopelessness is one of the top things people feel.
Yes.
Like, holy schmoly guacamole, we're going through this pandemic, and now this thing hits.
Yeah.
And if you look at the news, a lot of the news stations, it said, America in crisis.
Right.
And because I'm talking to people from all over the world every day, I just did this big thing with Africa this morning.
Right, right.
Is that they're reading what we're putting on the news. America in crisis. Okay, so that's this thing of hopelessness. And you tell me first why you're not hopeless.
Oh, I love that question. I'm not hopeless because I can see what humans do in tragedy. We rise. Yeah. And I feel in this moment in time, this awakening, it's like a double awakening. You know, it's like it's an even more expansive awakening. It feels like the level of consciousness of our planet is reaching a tipping point where we can't unknow, we can't go back. And we are all moving forward together. And I've been so heartened by watching people coming together, by conversations like this one. Like my dear friend, Dr. Janine Staples, who's watching us right now, you know,
Yes.
and teaches. And I mean, I am just a student. I am such a grateful student. And I think, you know, this is the work we've been doing for a while, right? There are a lot of us have been doing this work for a while at helping people to take ownership and radical personal responsibility and to craft a world that matches the vision that they have and for what they want for themselves, but for their children. And there's so much data right now that is so good and putting my focus, and that's where my hope, it doesn't mean I don't have moments of feeling really sad and really frustrated and afraid and all of those things, but the sun rises again, you know, and I'm so blessed and grateful to get to see that each morning. And I just think,
love what you're saying.
Yeah, I get to be part of the change with my friends. I get to lead with love. I get to make mistakes. Absolutely. I'm a human, but I get to keep going. I get to keep trying, and I have resiliency. And that's what makes me feel hope every day.
A couple of things I pick up on what you just said is, number one, is that really we tend to revert to who we really are.
Yeah.
In a crisis, okay?
Yeah.
And who we really are as humanity, we're made in the image of God.
Yeah.
And so truly, we don't want to be prejudiced. We don't want to be acting like we've been acting. We want to revert to who we really are. We're made in his image and in his likeness. That's so powerful. And so I have a phrase that I created years ago, and I say it this way: the real you will make a demand on the you that you've become. So many times when I'm dealing with a person in crisis, I'll say to them, the real you is trying to make a demand on the person that you become. So let's say if they're in addiction, that's really not the person that they're supposed to be.
Yes.
Or if they're just lost and out of control. So really that's what's happening to us, is that the real person that you are, made in the image of God, is telling you to rise up.
Yeah.
And I so agree with you, Amber, that I'm loving seeing all ethnicities out there walking the streets together, all religions out there walking the streets together. And if not walking the streets, doing podcasts, talking, caring, sharing. So I'm very hopeful. And if I could throw this in, I've been interviewing a lot the young generation, even kids 10, 12 years of age. They're so hopeful.
Yeah. Yeah.
They are so hopeful. They're like, yeah, we're going to get through. Yeah, we're going to get through.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're going to get through.
We're going to get through. We're going to get through. I have a 6-year-old daughter, and we've talked about everything, and we've really brought Gianna to the center, Gianna Floyd, George Floyd's daughter, because she's 6. And we've talked about it. We've looked at pictures of her and talked about her dad. And, you know, Ani, when I shared with her the situations of some of the things that have occurred, I tell her, I tell her the truth. You know, she said she's been incredulous. Her 6-year-old soul self saying, "What?
Yeah.
That's ridiculous." I mean, her voice. And I said, "It is ridiculous, baby." And we talk about it. And, you know, she's made the signs, and we went to the protest, and we talked about why we were there. And, you know, it was hard for her. It was loud for her. She's really sensitive. Loud noises are hard. But she was there. She got to see it. She got to be part of it. You know, we got to do that as a family. And that's the first protest we've ever gone to. But my 6-year-old went to it with us. And it's a really important thing. You know, it's a really important thing to include our children in history in this way, because she's going to be a grown person one day, and she's going to be able to remember this moment. She's going to be able to remember the catalyst of her own activism and creating and living into this world that she wants to be a part of.
I love it. And that, see, I think, Amber, obviously what's in you is that, you know, the Bible says we are reconciled to reconcile. Mm. So you have been reconciled through Christ, and you are a reconciler. So you're a changer. You can't help but be an activist, right?
Right.
But I'm loving what you did, how you connected it to George Floyd's, to the daughter, because maybe she would not understand all of his,
right,
but she would understand the daughter. So that was very, very good. Can I break down the word prejudice real quick?
Please do.
So I was looking it up in the dictionary, and it means a preconception. It means a prejudgment. It means to influence or to sway. Mm. Okay. So I think one of the things that we're learning in this thing is that a lot of people have had prejudice against them. So I was looking up different places and areas where people feel like there's been, you know, prejudice, preconception. One is the elderly feel it.
Yes.
Okay. People that have been incarcerated feel it. Yeah. Another people grouping is addiction, in the area of addiction. Another one is homelessness. Another one is people who struggle with their weight, obesity. Yeah. And so I think that from what we're dealing with the racial problems, that it gives us an opportunity to look deeper into all forms of prejudice.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love how you broke that down. It's like this layer cake, you know, and there's something someone was posting, and I'll have to tag her in the comments, but she's written a book, and it talks about patriarchal stress disorder, and how for women, and we're going to speak about women at large, folks who identify as women, being prejudiced, right, or oppressed in a way because of that. And so it's this oppressed group, these oppressed groups trying to work together to justice, and how challenging that is. And one of the themes that I've experienced a lot as I've been watching things unfold, and the commentary, and this side and that side, and, you know, a lot of different things breaking down on the social media fronts. And one of the things that's been really interesting to witness is those who are survivors of something, trauma survivors, codependents, folks who've been through hard things, no matter what the color of your skin is. This has been extremely traumatizing for a lot of people who are survivors of trauma.
Yes.
And so that's making it challenging for folks. Yes, Valerie Rain, thank you, husband. He texted me her name, Valerie Rain, who wrote this book. It's made it challenging for folks, I think, to enter into the conversation because defensiveness comes up. So can you talk about, for those who want to be part of it, but they find themselves putting up a shield of defensiveness to protect themselves because of a past trauma that they maybe haven't really reconciled yet? What are your words for those folks?
Yeah, so I like how you brought that up about the past trauma. So because of This Is My World is Recovery, right. So you have triggered the trauma. So you've triggered the trauma. But the interesting thing about war, because we are in a battle, is that not everybody's on the front lines. Like, you know, you and your husband, you guys decided to go out there and, like, you know, be on the front lines and protest.
Yeah. And the New Hampshire front lines are a different front line than some of the other parts of the country too. I will also say that. Yes.
Yes. Okay. So But in a war, let's say the Vietnam War, I've talked to veterans that, you know, if it's Memorial Day and you're at a place and they say, how many of you are veterans? They'll stand. And one guy I talked to after he stood in this public event I was at, and I said, can you tell me a little bit about your situation in the war? He was a cook, but he still considered himself part of the Army.
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense?
Right.
So for some people, your job may be frontline. You're a frontliner, Amber, whether you like it or not. So is Tim Storey. But some people are the cook, but we need the cook.
We need the cook.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So what can the cook do in the midst of a pandemic and in the midst of all the racial challenges that we're having? What you could do is you could be faithful in what you do. Be a good leader where you are. This is really brilliant stuff. Watch. If you're the head of your household, be a good leader where you are. If you're a teacher, be a good leader where you are. If you're working with a lot of people, be a good leader where you are. So prosper where you're planted. Not everybody needs to be on the front lines the same way. The cook was still in the military.
Right. That's so good. Everybody, please hear that. Hear that. If you've been guilting or shaming or judging yourself, it's not that helpful, but being a great leader where you are planted, prosper where you are planted, that's a way to really contribute. It's so good.
Can I give you an example of this?
Yes.
So, you know, a lot of your viewers have watched this Michael Jordan beautiful piece that ESPN did.
Loved it. Mm-hmm.
And I noticed something that whenever a championship is won, the people on the team always run to the star of the team after you've won the final game.
Yeah.
They don't run to just some player who's at the end of the bench.
The athletic trainer doesn't get rushed.
So they run to the leader.
They run to the leader.
They run to the leader to celebrate. So they're all jumping on Michael every time.
Yeah.
When you rewatch it, you're going to see that every time they all run to him and tackle him because they run to the leader. So in your home, they're going to run to the leader.
Yeah.
Wherever you are a leader, they're going to run to the leader. So the question is, what are they learning from the leader? What is the disposition of the leader? What is the outlook of the leader? So this is a time for leaders to lead, and that's all of us.
That's all of us. So own it, my friends. Radical personal responsibility for your own, as my dear friend Janine Staples says, your personal liberation project. You get to be the leader of that.
And hi, Janine. She's very smart.
She is something else. Everybody needs to follow Janine Staples, and she's going to be hosting a masterclass coming up the next few days, and I'm going to have a front row seat for it. So
yeah, follow her right now. And somebody put up her information so the people that follow me will follow her too.
Love it. Thanks, you guys. At Janine Staples. Tim, we have a question from one of my beloved friends, Ashley Middleton, Simply Mid-Spired Life. And she said, I'm interested in hearing what Tim believes the Black community has to do in order to break the cycle of generational trauma and how we can work as a people to move beyond where we are today using the momentum of this current movement.
Okay. Great question.
Yeah.
Can I read the definition of systemic discrimination or systemic racism? Because that's what she's talking about.
Please.
Okay. So this can be described as patterns of behavior, policies, or practices that are part of the structures of an organization. So this is what a lot of Black people have been feeling, which create a disadvantage, okay, to the people that are being discriminated against. So this is what a lot of my friends that are Black feel, right? All right, so what I believe is what Will Smith posted is that this has been going on, but now we have these things where we can film it. So now it's been filmed. So now that everyone is seeing it, including your daughter at age 6, is that correct? She's 6?
Yep.
Okay. is that now this is a Oprah Winfrey aha moment.
Mm-hmm.
Aha moment is not always a revelation of like greatness.
Right.
It's sometimes a revelation of change.
Mm.
And so to me, as a Black person, this is a revelation of change. And so to quote many great leaders that have said this, because it didn't just come out of one, because I always like to get the origin of be the change, has been quoted by many great leaders. And so for Amber, for Tim Storey, we have decided to be the change. So to be the change against this gigantic situation is for me to check myself, to take inventory in my life. Am I prejudiced against any group?
Right.
It could even be prejudice against underachievers.
Mm-hmm.
And so to check myself and to become a better person myself. And the more I become whole, then I'm going to be able to be the person that God created me to be.
Mm. Mm. Amen. Thank you for that.
And that's why I'm running for president.
Yes!
But not this time. Maybe next time.
Please, Tim Storey, please. I will do whatever it takes to help get you in that office, my friend. So I'm feeling called to ask the question from an African-American man to a white woman.
Yes.
Talk to me about what is it that you want to say? What is it that you and your family, right? Your African-American family needs us to hear, needs us to pierce as white people to hear and to absorb that we have just not been absorbing.
Okay. So I'm not going to say what most people think I'm going to say.
Okay.
Because I'm friends with Al Sharpton, Jesse Jackson, T.D. Jakes. I'm friends with the largest Black leaders in the world, not just in this America, but all over the world.
Right.
So I'm probably not going to give the answer that most people think I'm going to give. I'm going to say that, Amber, people have been prejudiced against you.
Yeah.
Okay. You're blonde. Okay. You live where you live. You're happily married. You have a great child. You have a great cat. So people could be prejudiced and say, well, look at this blondie. What's she trying to pull off? I mean, she's had it made her whole life. The reality, that's not true. So I have prejudged you if I've thought that way. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
So you've been prejudged and you have your stories.
Yeah.
I've been prejudged. I have my stories. Like, I'll give you one. I was born in Compton and we had 7 people in a 2-bedroom house. And then later in life, we moved out and we moved into an area that was mixed. It was a little Spanish, few Spanish people, but predominantly white people. So I had my little Schwinn bicycle. I was 9, all excited, riding my bicycle down the street. And woo, man, the more I saw those neighbors look at me, it wasn't like welcome to the neighborhood.
Yeah.
Because I had a big Michael Jackson afro, and I was the only Black kid that they'd ever seen in that neighborhood. And one has still not ever come. So it was not good. So one of my best friends, his mother would not let me play with them. My other buddy down the street, his dad would not let me play with him. I remember knocking on this one door, and then the dad said, don't let that N-word in the house. Okay. Now, when he said that, I smirked because it's so weird. I had this weird confidence. I had this weird swag, even when I was that age, that I thought to myself, bless his heart.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, it's a really powerful thing when you start believing what God says about you. God's opinion makes man's opinion irrelevant.
Mm.
And so if we can start dialing into what God says about us, number one, God's opinion of us makes man's opinion irrelevant. That's powerful, right?
Powerful. Mm-hmm.
Okay, but let's deal with the second thing. Now we've got force, where this man was killed in front of humans.
Yeah.
Okay, so we should rise up.
Yeah.
That should make us angry.
Mm-hmm.
That should make us want to take action, right? Because it's not just not let the little chocolate boy in my house thing. Now they're killing somebody on camera.
Yeah.
And so all these feelings we should feel. But what I think is beautiful about this conversation is that you face prejudice. I faced it. Every viewer has faced it in one way or another. Yeah. Some worse than others. But this is to the extreme.
Right.
To the worst place, right?
Mm.
And so, wow, wow, wow. What a gigantic wake-up call to all of us to be what God called us to be. And that is to walk in love.
To walk in love.
I choose to walk in love. Just like I did as a kid when they wouldn't let me play with my best friends. They literally would not let me play with my best friends. I chose to walk in love.
Yeah, and you know, Tim, same, right? You know my story of being a survivor of childhood sexual abuse and testifying in court, and then my family, my mom's side of the family, choosing my abuser's side and forgiving them and forgiving him early because I just knew, I don't know, it was the only option. It was the only option early on. And my mom taught me that hurt people at a really young age. And I just got it. You know, I just really got that. And so that empathy, that love was the salvation. It always is. But I understood that not even in a religious sense, not even through God at that time. I didn't have that language yet, even though I felt God in my life. And it's the same for you, I would imagine, right? God was there, that love.
Yeah, but that's one thing that I am so proud of you about is that the way you tell your story, you're so authentic. But I think the love, Amber, comes out of you that's innately you. But then I also feel like the love of God comes through you.
Yeah.
And so this is the time for the love of God to come out of us, which I think was innately Tim's story. I've always been a happy person.
Yeah.
But then when I really tapped into God in a new and different way, he came through me. And you watch, there's going to be a shift. There's going to be a change. And love wins. Love will win. Love will prevail. And that's why your platform just keeps getting bigger. My platform just keeps getting bigger. It's because the world is looking for somebody that has clear direction. We have clear direction. We're not wondering and wandering. I believe that God is the author and the finisher of my faith. And so what he started, he's going to complete. Now, are these awful things? Have we not all faced awful things? Yes. But grace fills in the gaps. Grace fills in the gaps.
Write that down, my friends. Write that one down. Grace fills in the gaps. And the real you will make a demand on the you that you've become.
Yes.
And we're being called up. The you that we've become, the real you, is stepping in and saying, we can do this. We can do this. Let's go where we need to go. Yes.
Yeah. So when you're in your house, you be the person that sets the tempo, that sets the energy level. That's why it's important not to watch the news all day as an adult, mostly if there's kids around. Set the tempo. Set the tempo. No matter what we're going through, let everybody know we're going forward. We still go forward. There we go. We're going forward.
We're going forward. So any last words here, Tim, for those who are maybe feeling a little bit, that have a propensity to get tripped up in the hopelessness, or that get a little downtrodden because they're really sensitive, right? They really feel, and they're with us on everything we're saying, but they're still feeling fearful in their heart. Any words for those folks tonight?
Yeah. So number one, I don't blame you. There's some overwhelming stuff.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of my friends, they run big companies. They're losing so much money. I've had two great friends file bankruptcy. I have had people that I know die from COVID-19, people hospitalized. This is the real deal, people. This is like really happening. So number one, I don't blame you for how you feel, what you're going through. If you're struggling with addiction, I could see why it could happen. But I want to say this to you, that you got to look back to what you've come through. You know, you've come through things already, like what Amber's talking about. Look at what she had to go through in life. Look what Tim Storey had to go through in his life. So it's like David when he was fighting Goliath. He said, I killed a lion, I killed a bear, I think I can get him too. So you got to remember your lions and remember your bears and realize you can take down your Goliath.
Yes. Yes. Thank you. So good. Tim Storey, I appreciate you, my friend. Thank you for your heart and for your faith and for your steadfast devotion to being a world shaker and an uplifter in this lifetime and on this path. I'm just so grateful to get to learn from you and to walk with you in this way. Anything you want to share with anyone you've got coming up or things, just tuning into your Instagram channel for sure. You've got lots of really incredible conversations happening over there. Anything else?
No, I just think what a privilege to be on with you. And hopefully I'm going to do your conference. When is that going to be?
May 2021, May 1st and 2nd. So we are holding the vision that we will be mask-free, rocking out in the Live Free or Die New Hampshire state.
Yeah, I'm just behind you. That's what I'm into.
Thank you.
I'm behind you. I'm loving what you're doing and just keep changing lives. And what a privilege to be on this platform.
Thank you, Tim. I love you so much. Thank you.
Love you too.
For joining us,
Bye-bye.
guys. Take care.